What's up guys, it's Daz here, but you don't really care. As lately I've been into the recently released episodic game of Life is Strange. If you haven't picked it up or even watched it yet, then I highly recommend you do so. As long as you can overlook the terrible attempt of lip syncing this game has going on. Anyway, with the episodic nature of Life is Strange comes the opportunity for the fans to speculate with what comes next. So that is exactly what this video is going to be about. Predictions. Also, I heard there was some kind of leak about episode 2, but I'm going to ignore it, otherwise this video would completely lose its purpose really. So if you have seen it, I suggest you just imagine these ideas are for future episodes rather than just 2, because it kind of is. So starting off, let me just say that at the time of this video going up, only the first chapter has been released, and we also know nothing really about chapter 2. So if something I say is wrong, which is pretty inevitable at this point of the game, then you don't need to shout at me in the comments. I'll probably be doing that myself when I do an afterthoughts video once I've played through the next chapter myself. Right, that's enough about the future, let's talk about the now, as in chapter 1. So here are the mysteries from chapter 1 that the game hasn't answered to yet. Where did Max get her time travelling powers? What happened to Rachel Ambers? Why does David have these pictures of Kate Marsh? Ray Wells, the principal, is an alcoholic. Why? What's with the deer? And how the hell do we get out of this one? So first off, let me just take a stab in the dark and try to attempt to guess some of these answers. Where did Max get her time travelling powers? I say it was given to her by some kind of guarding spirit. This may sound a bit far off, but hear me out. I believe Max describes the butterfly in the bathroom where she discovered her powers as almost being like a spirit.
The butterfly feels almost like a spirit.
Furthermore, this spirit seems to reappear with Max later on at the end of the episode in the form of a ghostly deer. Plus there's a chunk of deer imagery everywhere. So that leads me to, what's with the deer? Well, I say it is the spirit of a dead student who had the powers of time travel before Max. Who was that? Miss Rachel Ambers, the student who mysteriously disappeared. I think she had these powers, got too caught up in some sort of dramatic things, and was kidnapped and killed for her actions. So who did this? Who kidnapped Rachel Ambers? Well, assuming it is someone we've already met, most might think David Manson. He seems bad. Maybe Samuel. He's weird. No, I say it's Mr. Mark Jefferson. He seems to be so idolized by Max and the other characters that I think he would be suitable as a plot twist evil kind of guy. Not to mention he supposedly had sex with Rachel Ambers and seems to have a thing for Max.
Rachel Amber absolutely had sex with him. Well, I heard that from a good source.
At least, he's always talking her up, though that head thing he does is kind of weird. No. Excuse us. Now, David Madsen. This guy's a tricky one. He seemed pretty sketchy when he was aggressive as the head of security at school, and the fact that he wanted cameras all over the place. But at first I thought he was going to be one of those bad characters that turns out to be good. Then I saw these. Photographic proof of stalking and taking a picture of a schoolgirl without her consent. Not to mention he's an abusive stepfather and maybe showing signs of PTSD.
And you just keep pushing me. You haven't seen rage, you little—
Fuck you, pig!
Listen. You asked for that. You know exactly what you're doing. She's a loser, and she'll only drag you down.
If anything, I think this guy's gonna survive right to the end of the week as a constant inconvenient hurdle. Until we get the chance to kill him— not save him from the massive tornado heading for the town. Speaking of hurdles, an issue we face in this first chapter was talking to Ray Wells, the principal, who seems to side against you and is supposedly an alcoholic, which is then confirmed at the end of the chapter. Now this may be a bit of a stretch, but I think the reason for his drinking problems may be linked to Rachel Amber's disappearance. Now I'm really going out of my way to come up with this, but what if Rachel came to him for help or to convince him of something she discovered with her time travelling powers? Maybe something about Mr. Jefferson. And then he refused to help her. Then, with her disappearance and probable death, he began to feel responsible for it and got into drinking. It may even be a coping mechanism for dealing with Mr. Jefferson. Perhaps he has little control over his own employees and Jefferson takes advantage of this somehow. I don't know, just speculation. And the final question, how the hell do we get out of this one? Well, I have a feeling, given Max's obvious lack of popularity and charisma towards other people, it's gonna take a little more than a simple nudge and a "Hey, I'm a crazy, storm's coming to Daisy," to get people to evacuate. Plus, apparently the snow in summer isn't enough to convince people, and no one around here watches the weather forecast. So I think while some may be more cooperative, I don't think there'll be a chance to save everyone until the last moments of the game, when you're literally in the thick of it. Now I'm hopeful that the ending will be broad enough that you can save or kill everyone, and that makes a difference. At the moment there are 25 characters living in Arcadia Bay, I think, to save. That also includes you and the potential bad guys, if there even is one. But I'd like to see if you can have the option to save almost everyone, or almost no one. And in case you were wondering, by the way, I count 32 characters in total, though some are elsewhere like in Seattle and some are dead. Rest in peace, Bongo.
You never saw that car coming.
Though who knows, maybe those from Seattle will come to visit us. What perfect timing! Now that's the big questions done, so here are a handful of no-basis, story-related guesses for the future. Naturally, there will be a big falling out between Max and Chloe. Maybe something is learned about Rachel and they don't choose to take the same approach. You will have to make a decision to save either Chloe, your best friend whose ambiguous relationship with Max may be romantic if the player so desires, or Warren, your best guy friend who Max clearly has feelings for but is a bit odd about it. She blushes when talking about him but refuses to hug. I'm a little confused, but oh well. David will save you at some point, but you still shouldn't like him. Kate will be one of those few people who will believe you and may even help you along with Chloe. Max's time-traveling abilities will be taken away from her at the moment where it's needed most. Samuel's gonna get pinned for something he didn't do. Nathan's just gonna get crazier. And Jefferson's evil. Plus, he always says Max has a gift, and while that could be referring to her scholarship, I can't help but get the feeling he knows more than what he's putting on. Maybe he's the one that gave her the time-traveling even, and is trying to test whether she's an expert or an amateur, or at least he's testing her. I don't know, just thinking my mind here. And I did have more ideas in my head, but they seem to be gone. So finally, let's look at the preview for episode 2 and we'll see if there's any other conclusions we can make. So, Train. Train wants to kill Chloe. Also, looking at the 3 photos, we can see a kind of junkyard of some trains and a diner. Now, on the topic of the diner, it is likely this is where we'll meet Chloe's mum, since we see her briefly at the end of episode 1, so she'll just be another character we'll be introduced to. If I had to make a prediction for drama in this scene, I'd say there's some kind of crime occurring here, maybe a robbery or a fight or something, and Max has to stop it from happening and save people. Yada yada, you saved me, wow, you know. But the train. Here's an interesting thought. Actions have consequences. So what if, and this is a bit of a weird one, but what if Chloe was supposed to die in the bathroom in episode 1, but by saving her, Death is trying to kill her at every opportunity, much like the Final Destination movies. I mean, sure, Chloe could just be clumsy and happen to get stuck on the train tracks, but I like this idea. Death is trying to get Chloe, and Max has to keep saving her. Maybe that could be the thing that causes this tornado in the first place. By this point, Max has done so much messing around with time that it just causes these catastrophic disasters. The butterfly effect, if you will. But I don't know, just a thought. It's also kind of suspicious how little things like watering the plants will have consequences. Are they referring to it not dying, or is this going to be a massive part of a pivotal point in the story, along with the bird you saved or didn't save at Chloe's house? And one last thing, for each chapter we see 3 photos for it, so here's some ideas. Episode 3, we go into the school at night time, perhaps snooping around after finding out a teacher, Jefferson, had something to do with Rachel. It might also be Max going to her invitation to the Vortex Club, as she was kind of invited by Hayden.
But you should actually come hang with us one night, then you wouldn't be so inclined to gossip.
We'll get into more of the man with the caravan and his dog. And this looks like Chloe's house, so more David Manson drama will ensue in some manner. Episode 4, Down by the Beach. No clue. I'm assuming that's Nathan's hand, so Nathan's back with more terror! And Max has a major clue through someone's laptop. David's? Jefferson's? Chloe's? Episode 5, here's the interesting one though. We see a row of folders like the end of episode 1, which had the last one belonging to Rachel. So this probably means we'll crack the entire case here. Next we see Max in front of her pictures. Now this photo already exists. She had it at the start of episode 1, but ripped it before discovering her powers, and then did it again because she's an idiot. So unless she recreated it exactly, which I highly doubt, I think Max is going to end up travelling far backwards in time, to before the events of episode 1. Maybe she wants to restart everything, or maybe she did it by accident. Either way, this isn't something to just overlook, I'm sure. And the climax of the game, big tornado coming. Watch out! But hey, we don't know any of these things for certain. Guess we'll just have to wait till the rest of the game comes out. But for now, my name's been Daz, you didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. Oh, hello! It seems we've reached the end of the video, but the suggestions haven't popped up on screen yet. What's going on? Well, I'd like to integrate a little more viewer input, and sure, I've got people commenting their ideas for future videos or what they think of points being made in each video, but let's make things more specific. Sometime soon I'll be making another Pikmin video. Big surprise. So I ask you, would you rather see a video about Wollywogs and how they could possibly work in real life, with the flying and the flattening and whatnot? Or would you rather see a video about me pointing out all the Easter eggs and fun facts about the 3 Pikmin shorts? Click one of the 2 boxes to make your decision, and I'll make the one that has the most views first. See you there.